I've been living communally for coming up to 5 years. I moved into the warehouse I live in now in 2020, and that was the situation when I moved in. Like, that was the way the house was set up. So when I interviewed for the room, they asked me if I was happy living that way as well, and I'd never done it before. But I was into the idea. I've always worked in food, so I love cooking for people, and that was like a really exciting thing for me rather than a daunting one. Although I will say, before that, I worked at a company called Meringue Girls for 8 years. They're like a meringue bakery, no longer exist. When I think about it, actually, that was my real first experience of like communal cooking, because every day for lunch we would all bring in £2 in cash. There were 5 girls who worked there at the time. So every day for £10 collectively, £2 each, we would get the ingredients and cook lunch for each other. And we were in a bakery, so obviously we had a whole kitchen. So we made lunch for each other every day. It's important to know this was 2016, that was starting around 2016, that was kind of the time. So I don't think it would be possible on that kind of budget now, but it was an amazing way to save money and eat a really delicious lunch every single day. Like, we ate so well. We would make like vermicelli rice noodle bowls and like big pots of pasta, and like once we'd sort of like eat frugally the first couple of days in the week, and then we'd save up so on Friday we could do something more exciting. Sometimes we'd go to the fishmonger and we'd get like cod cheek, and then we'd make tacos for each other. It was like truly nothing else I've ever experienced in a professional kitchen. It was the best. It was the best of times. My experience with communal eating has always been a good one, and it has definitely shaped my relationship with food, in that I'm always, like, the way that we do it in our house is really cheaply. It's £25 a week, which in London is insane, and that also is, it's not just our food, it's like our cleaning materials and our bin bags and our toothpaste and shampoo and everything. So we buy, like, we're really careful with what we buy. And if our shop usually comes, like, we put in our order and like the cupboards are bare, it's like there's not much to work with. So it's shaped my relationship with food in a way that means I'm really good now at pulling together a meal from some quite bare essentials. And I think I've become a better cook through eating and cooking that way. And so I think it's given me more of an appreciation for like humble ingredients that you don't think are that special. There are so many benefits to sharing food and eating communally. But I guess to go back to the workplace, I would say, you know, lots of kitchens, professional kitchens, will do a staff meal, but it's usually not a priority. It's kind of the last thing on the list, and it's rushed, and it's like pull something together and quickly eat, and maybe you're, you know, crouching or you're standing or whatever. And I think in places where they prioritize it, everyone works harder, everyone is happier, you get a better quality of work out of people, and so everyone is happier. It's just, it improves the mood no end. And I would say in terms of a home, it obviously just builds community. If you sit together and you share a meal every night and you talk about your day, it fosters a sort of closer relationship with the people you're living with, and it's a really, really good way to build community. I think it's amazing for people who are picky eaters. I live with quite a few who were pickier before they lived with us. Things like ingredients that you weren't introduced to at home and maybe you were like unfamiliar with, and so therefore you sort of like weirded out or scared by, like anchovies or capers, or there's lots of things like that my housemates from different parts of the world, like it's a very international house. We've got like housemates from Denmark and Poland and Italy and Southeast Asia and, you know, all over the world, and it's introduced them to lots of different ways of cooking and eating, and me too. Like, I've experienced so many flavors and ingredients from my housemate Pierre, who is Filipino Chinese, that I never would have eaten otherwise, and I'm now obsessed with. So I think for that it's incredible, introducing you to new foods and new ways of eating. And then we have a housemate with a bunch of allergies, and we've had this before where like someone is vegan or they're gluten-free or they have a nut allergy, and accommodating them in all of the meals just encourages you to cook in a more inventive and imaginative way. So I think it makes you both a better eater and a better cook. And in terms of unhealthy eating habits, I think it's also brilliant. I think it can be quite confronting if you're someone who like purposefully skips meals or binge eats or has a complicated relationship with food. There's sort of like daily meal time where everybody sits down and you all serve each other, or you're sort of eating as a group. I think it gives you more of a consciousness and awareness about like what you're eating and how you're consuming food. And rather than the tendency to comfort yourself with food and maybe numb yourself with it, is less present because you're with a bunch of other people and you're like enjoying each other's company, and it becomes almost like a family meal time rather than like a solo experience, which can be quite isolating. My advice would be start small. So if you're a household, a family, or a group of friends or strangers living together that don't do anything communally, don't go hard and try and do every dinner of the week or every meal of the day. In fact, maybe start with one and choose that on Wednesdays you're going to share a communal meal, and maybe every week one person takes just Wednesday. In the same sort of mentality as like a meat-free Monday, it's like rather than going vegetarian instantly, the idea of just doing it once a week, I think, could be a really good way into communal habits. And do what's right for you and what feels comfortable. And if, let's say, you've got lots of different dietary requirements in the house, maybe just choose that the communal meal will be one that serves everybody rather than making 3 or 4 different things so that everyone has a choice. If there's one vegan, maybe just make a vegan meal and then everyone can share it.